Hi everyone, my name's Anne-Marie. Welcome to Card Making Project 568. Today we're going to make a gorgeous card using our Anna Griffin supplies. Everything I do use I shall put in a detailed list on my blog, so please be sure to check it out. There's also extra photos of the project, both inside and outside. Now I think this one is slightly different and it's really pretty, and I think you're going to enjoy the idea for this one. And you might go off to try it and put your own creative spin on it, which would be great. And if you could show me what you create, that would be even better. You can always find me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. All the links are at the end of the video. If you're looking for me on Facebook, it's Anne-Marie Vaux, V-A-U-X. And you can always find me, as I say, on Twitter and Instagram. The links and the names are all at the end of the video. You can always subscribe to YouTube. Hit that head, as they say, at the end of the video. My head will pop up in a circle. And all you have to do is click on it and you can subscribe, and you will be notified when new tutorials and videos are available. So without further ado, please sit back, relax, and let's have a look at today's gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous tutorial. So for today's project, we're going to be using the Anna Griffin Treasury Original Set Part 2. And we're going to be using the heart stamp and the scroll stamp. We're also going to be using the scroll inner die, the heart inner die, and the outer die. Those are the only dies from Anna Griffin that we're going to be using, but it would be handy if you've got a set of nesting dies in the circle shape. So that could be any brand, any kind, because we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. And I always say we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I think you're going to like it. I think you are going to like this, because we're going to use lots of our Anna Griffin things and make a gorgeous card, which will be a little bit different, I think. I'm starting off with 6x6 perfect pattern blank cards from Anna. Already I've filled in my name and the project number on the back, and that just, you know, it helps if you're giving the card away to somebody, they know who's giving it to them. I'm using my bone folder from the Anna Griffin tool collection to make sure I've got a nice sharp crease along the edge of the card. And you might have noticed that I've already cut a circle in the centre of the card. Now this is why I say you could use any nesting circle dies. It doesn't matter who you use. So I've cut quite a small circle in the centre, and we're going to do the inside of our card first, as always. But the first thing I'm going to do, where I've cut the circle, I'm using one of the Anna Griffin quotes and flower stickers. Now, it's already a circle shape was this, and I've simply die cut it the same circle to fit the circle that we've cut in the front of our card. I've got flat tape on the back of this, and what I'm going to do is, where the card is closed, I'm going to add the circle in the right place and press it down so that when I open the card, it opens with the circle in the right place in the centre, so that when it closes, that's what you see inside the card. So now we can concentrate more on the inside, which is really simple. I've taken the scrap from cutting one of the circles I'm going to use from the front using the Bohemian papers. We're actually using a mixture of papers for this, but this was one from the Bohemian paper collection. So I've die cut a circle that I'm going to use for the front, and this is the waist that I've trimmed down. I've got flat tape on the back of it, and I'm simply going to position it on the inside of our card around the circle that we've just added to give it a border effect like that. Nice and simple. And then I've stamped using the scroll stamp that's in the Treasury Set 2 that we're using from the original. I've stamped it and I've die cut it using the die. I've used permanent ink and I've used it on ivory cardstock. And I'm simply going to add one just to one side of the circle and one maybe to the other side like that. Now I like the dramatic look of the black on the ivory. I think that works really well, especially with this card. And that's our insert. How quick and easy was that? And yet the sentiment that we've popped on will work for the front of our card as well. Now I'm going to use my bone folder just to make sure that's nice and sharp still along that crease. And then I can start creating the front of the card. Now I've already seen the first circle that I've die cut, and this was from the Bohemian paper collection. I've die cut a circle through the centre to create a frame-like circle, and the circle was the same size as the circle that I've used for the card, and I'm just placing that over the top, and it's, you know, it's an aperture really now. The next layer is another circle, and this time I've used the Anna Griffin feather papers from the Feather Designer collection. Again, flat tape through the centre, and the centre is die cut exactly the same size as the previous circles. So I can press that down. So remember, these are all flat layers at the moment. Now our last circle is the Anna Griffin gold foil cardstock. So the centre of it is again the same size as the previous circles and just a little bit bigger. This is why I said nesting circles dies for this one. And it doesn't matter what size you use. My base card is the 6x6 from Anna, the Perfect Patterns ones. So those are our layers going into the centre. So already that's, you know, it's a pretty card. We just want to make it even prettier. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've already stamped and die cut lots of the scrolls from the actual Treasury collection. And I've stamped them in black ink, again for the effect. Now I'm going to use silicone glue to stick these on because I want a little bit of height and I want to be able to wiggle them. So instead of using foam pads, just a little bit of silicone glue. You don't have to. You can use your foam pads, your 3D foam, whatever glue you want to use. But I'm just going to add a little bit just in a couple of places on the back because I'm going to add them around the edge. Some are going to be higher than others. Now my only worry is if it's going to all hold so that I can show you it. So if it doesn't, you know, all stick together in time and dry a little bit, then you might just have to check the blog for the photos. So I'm thinking that I could follow the circle around with the scrolls, or I could just do my own thing with them and add them wherever I think. I could add them into the corners, which I think we will for this side, like that, and then the other corner, there we go. You don't need a lot of the silicone, you just need enough that it will take hold and grab. The height is completely up to you of how much you put on. Depends how tall you want the embellishment to be really off the paper. So that one sits nicely there. Now we can keep adding them, and we can add them in, well, symmetrical form, or we can just add them where we want. I'm trying very hard not to be symmetrical this year, and trying to think outside the box and not always have everything all symmetrical. Now some of these we won't really see because we've got some more embellishments to go on, but you know, we're going to know that they're there, so you know, tips of them will be seen. I think that way for that one, and you can give them a little press down, but you don't want to press them down too much with it being silicone glue, because you don't want it to kind of squidge, but you want them sort of like to glue together. So I think this will be the last one, and we'll add this just about there. Okay, so those are all our scrolls. Next, I have some gorgeous flower embellishments from the Quotes and Flower Sticker set itself. And the first one I'm going to add is the flower that matches the flower actually on the quote. Now, because it goes over the edge of our card, where it's a sticker, I've used a craft knife and I've just made a cut, and I'm taking the bottom part of the stickiness away, you know, the carrier sheet, so the top part has still got the actual carrier sheet on, so it won't stick to itself. I'm also going to add a little bit of silicone glue because I think it might be a bit top heavy to stick on its own, and it just needs a little bit of extra help. Then I'm going to add the flower nearly over the flower, like so. There we go. So I'm hoping I've got enough glue on the back of the flower at the bottom so that it will stick on its own, and it won't stick when I open the card. There we go. Next, I've got lots more flowers that I'm going to add, again from the collection. I'm going to add this one over the bottom of the rose that we've just added, and then I've got one for the top corner. Again, I'm just peeling the back of them away, and I'm going to add them just over the top of the scrolls that we've added. And I've also got the heart that I've stamped and die cut from the Treasury collection. Now I've got 3D foam on the back of this, but for extra strength I'm just adding a little bit of silicone glue. I haven't got any glue at this section because that little bit is going over the edge of the circle, and we don't want it to stick to the back of the card. Next, I've got the last flower, and this again, little bit of silicone just on the back of it, just so it will sit over the top of the heart and the previous flower. I've got a tiny bow to add to the top of the heart, and then I've got a large bow that will sit just at one side of the corner at the opposite side, and that is our card finished. Now you see why I wanted to use the silicone glue to get the layers of all the flowers and the actual scrolls that we've die cut. And I'm going to just press that down a little bit. Let's not forget there's glue underneath there, so I don't want to press it down. But now comes the troubling bit where I want to show you what we've created. So when we open our card, we open to the inside that matches perfectly to the outside. And then the outside, we've got all those gorgeous flowers running around the centre aperture and the gorgeous scrolls, the contrast of the black on the ivory for the scrolls. Now I'm going to try this, but I have a feeling something might just fall off with us using silicone. Stands up perfectly. Ta-da! Nothing fell off. I would say that will probably go in a normal envelope. You've got a little bit of height from your flowers and from the glue. Depends how high you want to build it up. I've been quite restrained really from the, you know, the layers that we've added. We could have gone higher, we could have added a little bit more, but I think that's perfect. I love the colours, the pink and the lemons and the purples and the blue poking out from the circles. It's just such a pretty card and very different, and a great way to use lots of your products together, just slightly differently. Please check my blog for everything that I've used and for extra photos and nice photos and a close-up of the card, because sometimes it's nice to be able to see it in its entirety in the photographs as well as on the video. So don't forget there'll be links on there. You can always share any of my projects. Please feel free. It's great to hear from you. It's great to see what you create as well. And if you want to check me out on Facebook, it's Anne-Marie Vaux. That's Anne-Marie, it's all one word. And it's Vaux, V-A-U-X. So have a look. There'll always be extras on there as well. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, and all the links are at the end of the video. So I would just like to say thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.